Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. So I have another tag video for you today. There's just been so many good tags that I've just had to take part. So this is the Hindsight Is 2020 tag. But before we get into the questions, make sure to hit the subscribe button below and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss any of my uploads. So I learned about this tag over on Books of Blood. So John didn't tag me officially, but I asked him if it was okay for me to go ahead and make a video, and he said of course. And I really liked the questions in this tag because it gets you to know a little bit more about the booktuber that you're watching. So I learned a lot about John, and his video is absolutely hilarious. So I'll leave that link down below. And if you haven't checked out the rest of John's videos over on Books of Blood, please do. He is absolutely fantastic. So question number one is, what were you like as an early and learning reader? And I was always an avid reader as a child. For as long as I can remember, I've always loved to read. And I remember when I was super young and my dad would come upstairs to tuck me in at night, I would be the one actually reading him a bedtime story. And my mom often tells the story that one weekend she came out of her bedroom early in the morning and I was sitting in the upstairs hallway reading the Bible, and I looked at her and said, "Mom, there's some really hard words in here." So yeah, anything that I could get my hands on, I would read. Question number two, what book or book series really got you excited about reading as a kid? And I remember when I was probably in about grade 1, I guess, I read the entire Babysitter's Little Sister series, and that was the spin-off series of the Babysitter's Club. And I would read those books over and over, but I also had a massive collection of them. And then I got into the regular Babysitter's Club, of course. But then as I was getting older, I was getting into more and more spooky things, so I switched to R.L. Stine. So question number three, has there been a person in your life, real or fictional, who inspired you to be a reader? So my mom has always been a huge inspiration for me to be a reader, and she also really encouraged anything that was creative, reading, writing, telling stories, whatever. She was hugely creative herself, and on top of that, she was also a teacher and had a master's degree in English literacy, and she really concentrated on children's literacy and their development through reading. So yeah, I was always really encouraged to keep reading, but even if she didn't, I think I would have been a huge reader anyway. So yeah, both her and my dad actually really encouraged my love for reading, and they were the type of parents that as long as I was reading, they really didn't care what it was, as long as I was reading and it wasn't too overly graphic. But I remember reading really kind of advanced books at a very young age. Question number four, at what point did you begin to identify as a reader? So like I said, I have always identified as a reader. I remember reading books when I was super young, and so that kind of followed me through my entire life. There was only a very short section of about 10 years in my 20s and into early 30s that I went into a huge reading slump, but that was due to a situation that I was in, that there was a lot of bullying, and I kind of had to deal with daily put downs and all of that kind of stuff. And when somebody kind of beats you down day after day, you don't really enjoy things that used to bring you a lot of happiness. And yeah, I was bullied a lot for being a reader, but instead of quitting reading, even though I was in that reading slump, I decided to get rid of the toxic people instead. So yeah, getting back to the question, I've always identified as a reader, and I remember when I was a kid, I was costing my parents a fortune in books. So eventually they said, okay, you're getting a library card, and I remember going to the library very often and checking out books. And I remember going to my parents' cabin, and I would always have kind of a separate bag full of books that I would bring up for the weekend or the week or however long that we were going. And yeah, so besides that, I did take part in some sports. I skied competitively, I was in swimming, and I played a few instruments like piano and flute and stuff like that, but I would much rather stay at home and read a book than go out and play sports or hang out with my friends or whatever. I was very, very much an introvert and very much a bookworm. So question number 5, how has being a reader shaped your life and your worldview? So this is quite a hard question to answer, but I think I'll say this, that I remember when I was really young, I found an old school book from the 70s that was my mom's, and I had found a chapter on Egypt and King Tut and the Valley of the Kings and archaeology and all of that sort of thing, and that really kick-started a love of both history and of other world cultures. So I think having an interest in stuff like that kind of grew out of my love of Egypt and other cultures. I started studying things from all over the world. So I think I had an appreciation at a very young age that even though we lived a certain way, that wasn't how the entire world lived. There were all sorts of different people, all sorts of different cultures that lived their lives completely differently than what we did. And I think that was probably kind of my introduction, and I really had a love as a child for kind of all things that were nonfiction. So whether it was history or archaeology or dinosaurs or whatever, I would kind of clasp onto a topic and then research absolutely everything that I could about that topic. And then of course that would spiral off into other areas. So I think reading really did change my worldview on understanding that we're all different and having an appreciation for other cultures. And I remember that my parents told me when the teacher in kindergarten asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I said I wanted to be a paleontologist. So I guess during that period I was really, really interested in dinosaurs. And I love that I had a fascination with history when I was young, and of course I ended up with a degree in history myself later on in life. So number 6 is to tag some friends to do this video. So I'm going to answer this video the same way that I always do, and just consider yourself tagged if you've seen this video and you want to create one of your own. Let me know down in the comments if you have created your own video, and I will go check it out myself. But I did want to shout out a couple of new channels that I have subscribed to, and I would love to see these people's answers if they are willing to make a video. So we have Steve Talks About Books and Stuff, Coffee, Cats, and King, Let's Escape with Books, Working Man Reads, and Be Reading. So if you guys want to make a video and answer these questions, I would love to see your responses. So that's everything I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave me a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below, because you know I love chatting with you guys. But until next time, stay spooky. Bye.